All right. I believe we are live. Welcome again. Welcome back to another segment of this All-Star 2021 version of the HBCU Advocacy All-Star Panel, where we are essentially giving all of our leaders in this space their flowers. And tonight, for the second panel, we just have, another stellar lineup with a lot of prominent figures, some personal friends of mine, near and dear to me, not only just because they're great people, obviously, because we all share the same passion for making sure that we pay it forward and contribute to, the betterment of HBCUs. So without further ado, let's jump into it. I want to jump into an introduction. Again, this is HBCU Night. If you guys are watching, whether if you're watching present or in the future, make sure you go www.hbcunite.org/All-Star 2021, or you can just go on any social media platform, follow us at HBCU Night, and then you can find the links by navigating through the site. So without further ado, I have again another amazing lineup, and I just want to give everybody here their flowers. And I made this was one of the first calls I made for this. And, when she picked up, as she always does, she always has a lot of, this great aura and ball of energy, and she's always passionate about getting to the space. So the first person I want to introduce allow her to give a warm introduction is Dr. Theresa Price.
Hey, I am excited, everyone. Blessings to all. I'm here with my brothers, my kings, my Black kings. So I'm excited to be here. I'm Dr. Theresa Price. I'm the founder of National College Resources Foundation and Black College Expo. And man, I'm just excited to be here. So excited. Is there anything else you want me to like?
Nah. Look, we'll get into a lot of that, Dr. Price. Yes, I appreciate you. I'm just like, I'm still just so appreciative every time you come around. It's always amazing to share the space. So thank you for coming out. The next person I want to go to, Brother Anthony H. Brown. Why don't you give a warm introduction of who you are, brother? A lot of great things you're doing. Why don't you just talk to the people?
Listen, so I am so excited about being here at 9:00 p.m. on Saturday night, Eastern Standard Time. I'm exhausted because I've been on Zoom all day lifting up the work of HBCUs across the country. So for those who don't know who I am Anthony Brown. I am a proud graduate, as you can see, from Bethune-Cookman University, located in the home of the world's most famous beach, Daytona Beach, Florida, as well as I serve as the president of the National Alumni Council for the United Negro College Fund. So you had one of my colleagues on a little bit earlier on the earlier show, and I'm here to represent all. So I get to represent over 450,000 alumni, 60,000 students at our various 37-member institution, as well as students on scholarship at over 1,100 schools across the country. In addition, one more, I'm gonna be done. I am, I guess, the lead administrator of a Facebook group. It has to be the largest Facebook HBCU group that I can think of at this point. We are over 85,000 members strong. Know that on May 7th, we were 5,000 people. Today, 85,000 and growing.
Amazing. And I'll let you know, I'll be the first one to let anybody know I'm coming to send my request when I have posts on Facebook to that page. So if you don't know, make sure you tap in with Anthony Brown. The next brother I'm going to, this brother is amazing. This is another friend of mine. It's another near and dear brother that I consider a very stand-up dude, and just doing a lot of amazing things in this space. So my brother Jalil, why don't you talk to the people? Why don't you introduce yourself?
Man, well, good evening. It's kind of hard to follow Mr. Anthony Brown. He came in with some wildcat energy. So I'm gonna come in here with some of that Trojan Nation love. Good evening, everyone. For those that don't know me, my name is Jalil Thurman, founder, CEO of Yard Talk 101, host and executive producer of HBCU 101, which is a television show that highlights prominent individuals that talks about everything from dope alumni to what's happening in the news to just everything and anything HBCUs. It airs every Sunday on Aspire TV 10:30. Check us out.
Shameless plug. I love it. Hey, another one of my dear friends, right? Another one of my dear friends, my brother that hails from Charlotte, who is gonna drop some shameless plugs. Hey, why don't you everybody on the virtual end of your screens give a hand for the brother Travis P. Jackson. Travis, why don't you introduce yourself, brother?
Hey man, you got Wildcat, you know, and then you had Trojan, then you got Dr. Price, but ain't nothing like North Carolina Agricultural and Technical State University with the Aggie pride. You know what I'm saying? Aggie pride. All right. So you know, I am Travis P. Jackson. I'm the CEO and founder of HBCU Pride Nation. I am the lead host of a new podcast that we just released called Meet Me at the Cafe, the podcast. I also I love this space so much. You know, this is my heart. I get goosebumps. This is my passion. And I'm just a vessel that God uses every day to change the world. And that's who I am, bro.
Amen. Amen. I know that person. I'm glad everybody else knows that. So let's jump into it, right? And in true gentleman fashion, I want to make sure that we are going back to Queen, Dr. Theresa Price. Dr. Price, again, I can't thank you enough for joining us today. So thank you. But National College Resource Foundation, Black College Expo, you got a lot of other resource initiatives going on. Why don't you talk about, you know, all of the endeavors you're working on? Like, what's the inspiration behind all of that? Like, why did it start?
You know, I didn't want another kid, regardless of color, not to know about the rich history and legacy and culture, actually, of HBCUs. As I say, I feel like it's the foundation of our community. It's almost like, you know, we said the church, we grew up in the church. I feel like our HBCUs are our educational church. You know what I mean? And I just feel like they make the best leaders. People learn who they are as Black men and women. It has so many things that it just makes incredible individuals. And if you go back and look at history and you look at the leaders in this country, a lot of them, most of them come out of HBCUs. When you think of the most, you know, in the medical professions, you know, they come from HBCUs. So I just want to continue that legacy of sharing the good word, as you said in the Bible, the good word, the educational word on HBCUs, and making sure that we work with our HBCUs, all of them. So when you say which one is all of them, my doctor's from Virginia University of Lynchburg, but all of them. And just make sure, because my thing is, now more than ever too, I want all of the HBCUs to be recognized. When I was just look at the history, some people say 104, 106, 107. Right now, for my recent, I just looked, it's 105. When I look at the total, 94 4-year, 11 2-year. So 105 HBCUs. I want the accolades and the money and the donations to go to all 105. And naturally, if you're a 4-year, 4 years need more, so 94. I wanted to see all the dollars. I want all the people that are contributing money, not to just look at the 1, 2, 3, 4. Look at all, because all of them need money. And I feel like you cannot buy what you learn from HBCU. You cannot buy that. You know, I've had a lot of students, and actually a mother just said to me recently, her daughter's at Howard, so I know all the HU people here, HU, the real HU, whatever. They're both the real HU to me. But anyway, she just said that she couldn't pay for the experience that her daughter's getting, who's getting ready to graduate this May from Howard, because it's things that you learn that you cannot get from a PWI. So for me, we started it, you know, the thing that stands out most, when we started it in 2000, we started working, actually we tried to start in 99, and we couldn't raise enough money to do it because we wanted to do it at the LA Convention Center, which is where the Staples Center. So we did it the following year, and we had 35,000 people show up, and they sent out the riot gear police with their riot gear on, that I'll never forget that moment. It's like freaking panicking. but people were just in line calmly. They were standing in line, it was wrapped around down the street in downtown LA. And they thought it was going to be a riot, but people just wanted to know about HBCUs. They just wanted to know about the history of higher education. And so I will never forget just that moment. But what that showed me right then, I'm from Compton, California, guys, that just told me that people really wanted to know. So from there, I just started going out speaking about the importance of higher education, really. And from there, from doing the expos, and now we're in our 22nd year this year, we started getting calls from parents and students asking, can we help? Everything from helping them with the SAT, ACT, because they were getting recruited by, some of the colleges to play football. The one I remember clearly, he was going to go to University of Oregon. And the coach called and said, can you help this kid? Because he hasn't taken the SAT. And I never say no, that's my weakness, but I said, yeah. I said, okay, I guess we got to tutor him. So all of the programs, so a lot of the stuff that we have, it started from that. The public saying, can you help me with my FAFSA form? Can you help me, with my essay? So we became this full service, we're a wraparound service organization, we're an educational enhancement agency, we're a 501c3 nonprofit with the mission to curtail high school dropout rate and increase enrollment to degree and/or certificate programs among underserved, underrepresented, at-risk, low resource, homeless, and foster students. With the goal, with the vision to close the gap on educational achievement, workforce, and economic disparities, with the goal to end racism and racial inequality. So when you say all the different initiatives and programs, it's because our kids are all different. Everybody's different. Everybody's unique. Everybody's different. Everything from an astronaut to a zoologist. So we just been able to create a platform where we have the college connections and we do the Black College Expo. And then we do the Latino College Expo. We do a Students Think STEAM Expo because we're trying to get more diversity in STEAM. Then we also do, we have the Movement Enrichment Program, which is in schools where we confront the disparities in the educational system. So we offer intervention, mentoring, tutoring, college and career planning, student athlete, and internships and careers. And then we also have a student athlete program where we work exclusively. We have two, one where we work exclusively with HBCU coaches. It's a free platform for students that's free for students, free for coaches, where it's just a place where they can recruit players and players can put their stuff on the side and the coaches can recruit them. And we've been hosting HBCU football combine and an HBCU basketball showcase, and then also a softball. And it's just really to just try to help get the coaches out here. And I just, because I can't do it everywhere. We're looking at expanding into other areas, but right now we bring them all in and we just house them and we just take care of them. We just have the athletes get a chance to be seen, showcase. And then we also have an internships and careers program where I have a young lady, Denise Parker, that manages it's just a free program to help students get connected to careers, internships, and jobs. So we just look at how can we, because think about it, you guys, when students get into school, and the thing that I had not a problem with, but I'm very passionate, is we can all get them in all day, every day. We can get them in school, but how do we get them through? We got to get them through. Because you guys know a lot of your friends, as we all were in college, and you get there and then the next year they don't come back. You don't see them. So, and it's because money, the average gap is usually between $4,000 and $8,000. And so I looked at what are some of the things we can do. So we raised money to try to help, fill those gaps with trying to provide funding, but also how do we look for helping them find a career, like an internship that will pay them, that will allow them to use funds also to help themselves stay in school. So we look at ways to how can we help reduce the cost so that they can stay in and graduate. So during this COVID thing, we've been really raising a lot of dollars, and all the dollars, every single dime has gone to helping students, either computers, computer parts, rent, food, gas, just necessities, tuition, housing. So kind of like whatever we can do to help. And that's just I've been working with a lot of the college presidents and also their VP of enrollments, just asking them to identify students so that we can make sure that we can help them stay in. So that's that program. And then we also have a STEAM program, which is science, technology, engineering, arts, agriculture, aviation, and aerospace and math. And what that program is really, as I said, to close the diversity and create more women and students of color, you know, especially our Black kids, our Black males, and then females as a whole into the STEM industry. So we have a traveling STEM mobile that's like a vintage, it looks like a, you know, those Airstream trailers. It's vintage, and it travels through, now it travels in the city or throughout the really pretty much SoCal, where we could take this. It has 9 Mac computers and 3D printers, and we teach about 21 different hands-on curriculums. And then we have a Tuskegee, we have a partnership with the Tuskegee Airmen, where we have an African Americans in Aviation Traveling Museum. And that actually travels all over. It's been in Virginia, Washington, and it's going to continue to do that. And basically it's just engaging students and learning about the history of Black aviators, but also encouraging them to go into that field. So going into the STEM field, but you know, in the aviation aerospace field. So that's kind of what's happening now. And it's been during this pandemic, it was out and did about 25 cities and did the March on Washington. It's just another way. And we're going to actually donate. I got a donor to help us donate some. So we'll be in the Smithsonian Museum, that in the Air Smithsonian Museum. And we're donating these bronze Tuskegee Airmen statues that will be on display there. So just looking at ways, any way I can, you know, from entertainment, which is my background, you know, I come from entertainment, and my approach to education is really through entertainment, because I manage recording artists and I work with a lot of the, you know, then they were major players in the music business. And so I just wanted to bring that skill set, and my undergrad is in broadcast journalism. So just, you know, I'm just on a mission, y'all. I'm just on a mission. I just want to see it better.
Right. Right. And I just, again, I want to applaud you over and over again. You know, you have such a comprehensive infrastructure for your entire organization, and it definitely, you know, deserves the recognition that it's getting. I mean, you deserve all the success that you're getting. And it's just an honor and a pleasure. And I get so happy watching you know, all the success that comes about, you know, all the energy that comes from these expos. So I want to thank you for doing that. So the next question I want to jump to, I want to go all the way to UNCF, NAC, right? I want to talk to my brother, Anthony Brown. So, you know, you're doing a lot of these Facebook Lives, a lot of these initiatives where you are raising, I go on every time and I'm seeing like money being raised for all HBCUs. And I love it, because I always operate on the mantra of no child left behind, no HBCU left behind. So Anthony, you know, I'm just commending you right now, and I'm giving you your flowers for all that you're doing in the space. But why don't you tell us a little bit about, you know, the Facebook Live events and all that you have organized, and expand on that a little bit.
Oh, Dre, I appreciate it so very much. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Listen, it has been such a labor of love. So I mentioned earlier how I'm in this Facebook group of 85,000 people. So the group is called the HBCU Alumni United. Now, the group started back in 2007. I joined the group in 2014. It was under a different name, but I used the idea and the thought after we had done the HBCU Bound Day last year in the pandemic to celebrate students wanting to go to school. Someone said, so what's next? And I said, well, we need to start raising money. Now, understand, with my role and responsibility with UNCF and NAC, the college, I get this on the board of presidents for UNCF. I get to sit there with Michael Lomax and all the college presidents. And so one thing, what they told me last year, March, like about a year ago today, they said, Anthony, we need your help to help our alumni to advocate, to recruit, and to fundraise, not just for UNCF, but also for our member schools. So I said, okay, so we're thinking about what we can do, trying to help alumni navigate in this virtual space. And I said, okay, fine. So on May 7th, again, we had 5,000 people in this group. On May 8th, I did just like, I'm gonna go back, I'm gonna go to the Bible like Dr. Price. There's a story about a man named Saul. He was walking down a road to a city called Damascus, and he heard somebody say, Paul. He said, huh? And after that, he got a purpose. When he got his name changed, it was giving him a purpose. It gave him a whole new trajectory of what he needed to do in his life. I just changed the name of the group to HBCU Alumni United because I felt as if, along with my colleagues and some of my members of my board, that we are stronger together when we are standing united, and that every HBCU alum can support every HBCU. We don't have to depend on the government. We don't have to depend on philanthropists. Don't get me wrong. We are thankful for what the philanthropists do. We are thankful what the government does, but we don't have to rest on our laurels on them, and we can still take care of our own in some form or fashion as alumni. Even the smallest bit helps. So we decided, I got together with some alumni friends. We say, hey, can we do this? I'm like, I don't know, maybe yes, no, maybe so. And then we said, okay, we just gonna do it. We're gonna step out on faith and we're gonna do it. So on June 1st, last year, we started this campaign, and every week, we would change about 3 or 4 different schools every week, raising money, raising awareness, talking about student recruitment, all of that. Started doing a live podcast. So every Wednesday, I'm live, just like you here. I'm live doing a podcast every Wednesday night, then every Saturday night, then every Wednesday night, and every Saturday night. I was just constant and was consistent every Wednesday, every Saturday, highlighting and educating, because so often we get alumni, not the ones here on this panel here, because we are advocating, we're learning about other HBCU, because so often we'll get alumni say, well, I'm an HBCU advocate. Well, tell me about Wiley College. Tell me about Tougaloo College. Tell me about Selma University. I ain't never heard of those. I had somebody who say, well, Harris Stowe State University, is that an HBCU? Well, you can't say you're an HBCU advocate, and we got over 100 HBCUs. Now I'm gonna just say over 100 because every day it changes. Because we don't know, depending on the accreditation, all that. So I'm gonna say over 100. That we got over 100. So instead of you questioning me about, is this an HBCU? Go do the research. I'm sorry, I get frustrated. But the point is, we educate our community. And the biggest thing we all let everyone know is that it doesn't matter where your funding source comes from, because we understand and recognize that we have some that are private, funded by UNCF, and we have some that are public, funded by Thurgood Marshall College Fund, and we have some that are independent. But the fact is, it doesn't matter. What happened in 1965 is very simple. The government, people who don't look like us, under Lyndon B. Johnson and the United States Congress decided, wait, it's these Negro schools out here doing something, and we got to put some sanctions and some parameters to what we were already doing since the Civil War in some cases. And so the government decided, because I'm going to tell you what the real story is. I'm going to give you the real tea right here. That's the real tea. Ain't nobody going to tell this part of the story, because Ed, I thought he was going to tell it earlier, but he didn't. But the real tea is, Mary McLeod Bethune and Frederick Patterson started raising money for UNCF because they had an idea in 1943. And Mary called Fred and said, Fred, what you doing? He said, nothing. Fred, I got this idea. What you got, Mary? Why don't we start raising money collectively as a united front? Birthed the United Negro College Fund. The government that don't look like us saw what we were doing, benefiting our schools for Negroes, because you wasn't doing nothing for it, because you told us we couldn't come into your places and spaces, but yet you're going to tell us we have to be accredited by some accrediting associations, again, that don't look like us, that's ran by who? The government. Then you told us that we had to educate African Americans, yet we couldn't exclude nobody. Well, what the hell was happening to us in 1965? I'm sorry, but what was happening to us? Then we had to be all organized before 1965. So again, the government put this label HBCU on us. And from last I heard, labels belong on jars, not on people. Yet you was amazed that we took this label and we lived in it and we turned it for our good. So I decided with my alums, we're gonna raise money for our HBCUs. So last year, in 6 months, we raised $138,000. Shout out to Central State University for raising $15,000, because every dime I raised, it went straight to the school. I didn't touch it. I was just a cheerleader. It went straight to the school. Right now, for 2021, we're already at $12,000. So I'm excited. And that's what we've been doing. It's just trying to raise awareness. And again, I love the fact that alumni will support the campaign, but I'm really trying to get other HBCU alums to support other HBCUs. I found myself now, I would have never given before. I mean, I normally give the UNCF and I give it, give the Bethune, but now I gave to every HBCU last year. Amazing. And it's a beautiful thing. That's what we're doing out here, Doc.
Look, man. I said operating on the mantra of no HBCU left behind. You are obviously exuding excellence. You are obviously doing the work. And shout out to Morris Brown for bringing us up to 105, right? We need to make sure that we increase that number. We need these accreditations to continue to increase. But yeah, you said it best, and you had this wealth of knowledge, just around everything from historical context to even everything that you've done. And I want to actually thank you for putting in the time to raise this money, because that money matters, all a little bit of it. So I want to thank you so much, Mr. Brown. And the next question I want to go to is I want to take it to my brother who's been on the yard with it, who loves the numbers 101, right? Let's bring in my brother Jalil. Jalil, you could talk about, I want you to talk about Yard Talk 101 and HBCU 101 collectively. But first, I want to actually dive into, I actually want to talk about HBCU 101, because what HBCU 101 is becoming the new space to where a lot of people are, wanting to learn about what, these top HBCU advocates and figures and leaders are doing. And there's a lot of great interviews that you have on your platform. So why don't you share a little bit about the journey on how HBCU 101 came to fruition and how it's evolved since the first episode?
Well, it's crazy that you say that. I think, when I developed the idea alongside HBCU Game Day for HBCU 101, it was the thought of just finding another way to really truly be an advocate for HBCUs. But on a national level, I think a lot of times we're taking over the digital space, but I wanted something to be linear. I wanted something to be nationally syndicated on television. So, to be honest with you, the opportunity came from building relationships. Through Yard Talk 101, I built a relationship with Aspire TV. And so when the opportunity came, Aspire TV called me first. And then we just built it from there. And it's so crazy because when I first hopped on with HBCU 101, I wasn't the executive producer. I wasn't even the host. It was an idea that I helped to generate and develop. And then the way God works, it just so happened to be me. It was another host. I was actually supposed to be a co-host to the host, but she was unable to truly fulfill the duties and responsibilities that was needed for the show. I was in DC chilling, and they called me and said, "Hey, we're gonna run with you." So I said, "Cool, let's do it." And after the first episode, the guest that we actually had fell through. And so what happened was, we're talking with Tyler, he was just like, I said, "Listen, if I can really run with this show, like, I don't think you really understand the resources, the people that I know, how I could really grow with the show." And his words were this exact. He was like, "Listen, I have to produce another show. So the more you do, the easier this becomes for me." So I said, "Cool, let's run with it." So, and season 1 was dope. It was my first time on national television. It was my first time, really understanding what all it takes to host a producer show, and continue to get better. And so for HBCU 101, what we've been able to do is, my goal was to bring celebrities that or know household names of people that to TV to talk about HBCUs, because just like all of us are on here, and we're known in our respective spaces to have such a pride, in our HBCU. I mean, Mr. Brown come in Wildcat out right now, and Travis came in with the Aggie pride crazy, but that's everyone. But that isn't just us, right? Those are your Will Packers, your Keisha Knight Williams, your DJ Envy, your Lance Grosses, the people that people know. So what I wanted to be able to do was bridge the gap between the celebrities and then people like us that are in our own space doing really dope things to shed light on HBCUs. So over the seasons, Dre, you was on the first season. Trav was in the second season. We've been able to really grow from, having grassroots people, and then now having, last week was Lance Gross. We started this season off with Terrence J. You know, I got a dope guest. I ain't gonna give his name out. Just know he went to Southern University. He's gonna be the last guest of the season. You know, but we've also had Keisha Knight. We've also had Will Packer. We've also had Cortez Bryant, Pretty V. You know, Keisha Leno is my next guest this week. You know, representing Livingstone College, and so I've been able to really have a dope opportunity. So for me, I just love, you know, the opportunity to really shed light on HBCUs nationally versus just digitally.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think Aspire TV made the right decision by making you the host. Because clearly you were there, people are able to actually see, you know, your visioning and what you were envisioning now come to fruition. And that's what I mean by like, look, the first season, you had a couple grassroots people. I wasn't even on there, right? But now it's like every other episode, I'm like, man, who's gonna come on now? Because Jalil is cooking, right? So I just want to say I'm proud of you. I'm out of, you know, aside from this panel, I'm proud of you, brother, for real. Like, keep doing your thing. So salute on all of that success that you have with HBCU 101, and continue to do that. The next person I want to jump to is actually a brother that's from Charlotte. You know, this brother, when I actually gave him a shout, you know, I was traveling and you know, working with different NBA teams on HBCU nights. And you know, I hit him up. I'm like, if I'm going to Charlotte, I need to make sure that I hit this brother, because he definitely has to be on this panel. So I'm glad to have him grace the stage, the you know, the digital stage with us again. So I'm gonna go to Travis. Travis,
Yeah,
now you started a profound brand, right? HBCU Pride Nation. You know, the following has grown exponentially. You know, you're constantly doing the work. You're a huge advocate for HBCUs. So why don't you tell everybody about, I guess, the start of the story behind HBCU Pride Nation? Because I think people want to really understand the inspiration behind it.
Okay, cool. Well, the story behind HBCU Pride Nation, man, it when I was at A&T, I was a very known student leader, student government, freshman class president, vice president, student government that planned A&T's homecoming, GHO, and I did a lot on campus, but I also kept relationships amongst like the Association of Student Governments, as well as some SGA presidents and others that was at other HBCUs. And what I saw was that a lot of times people, it was kind of crazy. It felt like it was divided a little bit, because some of the bigger schools would feel like they were better than some of the smaller HBCUs. So I started realizing that a lot of people didn't really understand the history of HBCUs. So I attended a great event by the National Black College Alumni Hall of Fame, which is led by Mr. Tommy Dortz, who was on the first panel. And they had a question. It was in 2009, I believe, when Tanisha Fordham won Miss NBCA, and it was, are HBCUs still relevant in today's society? And it inspired me to want to create my own thing, which was a visual depiction of why HBCUs were relevant, why they were significant, etc. Because like, I believe that you can, I don't believe that you could speak about the world or just the United States of America without talking about those that paved the way from historically Black colleges and universities. Even how we have this all-star panel this weekend, bro. Like Al Adams, Dick Barnett, Zelma Beatty, like Willis Reed, Purvis Short, Ben Wallace, Charles Oakley, so many amazing basketball players that started at HBCUs. They went to the NBA. You feel what I'm saying? Also, when you speak about Women's History Month, you have Kamala Harris, who's the Vice President of the United States of America. You have Felicia Rashad, Toni Morrison. You have Dr. Mary McLeod Bethune that started Bethune-Cookman University just off of selling sweet potato pies, bro. You feel what I'm saying? And it's a lot of history that pertains to HBCUs that our young people need to know, right? When I was in Miami, I was a worker for City Year Miami, right? Which was the AmeriCorps program. And those students didn't know what an HBCU was, right? In Miami. And I'm like, why don't they know? And I feel I just want to teach people why these HBCUs are important. And then also being inspired by a different world, being inspired by school days, being inspired by Stump the Yard, you know, and just knowing that when people see something on the screen and people see it in media, a different world tripled the enrollment of HBCUs in the 90s. You get what I'm saying? And when my brother started Yard Talk 101, I would literally tell everybody that he is the hits from the streets of HBCUs, because everybody know who hits from the streets was. You know what I'm saying? And now just to see where my brother is with HBCU 101, then Anthony Brown seeing what he's been doing, right? He inspires me. And it's so many, and like I said before we got on here, that Dr. Price inspires me as well. Because also, just like Dr. Price, we have the Hillman experience, which I'm changing to the HBCU Pride experience, right? And what the Hillman experience is, we transform urban high schools into Hillman College from a different world, right? And for 2 years, we had 3,000 students come out and receive like $1.5 million in scholarships to go to HBCUs. So doing that, and then we have our own proclamation day here in Charlotte as well for HBCU Pride Nation that was given to us from Mayor Valaus. So March 21st, the weekend of March 21st is always HBCU Pride Nation Day here, right? On top of the pot. Thank you, brother. I appreciate that. And then being able to speak on your panel in my hometown, bro, like on the Charlotte Hornets court. Like I used to look at Larry Johnson and Alonzo Mourning, all them, bro. And then now we just released the podcast. Meet me at the Calf, the podcast with my brothers, Darius Welch from Livingstone College, who's Jalil's best friend. Also, Davriel T. Massey from Winston-Salem State University, who was also a Mr. HBCU. We have Sarika Comfort, who we call Rika Pesos from Johnson C. Smith University, and she was a former SGA president. Then we have Zena C., who is Zena Conway from Johnson C. Smith University, who was a former SGA president as well. And then my right hand, Ebony Funderburg from Winston-Salem State University. And we basically we bring the HBCU experience to audio through the experiences of 6 individuals. You see what I'm saying? And also, I can't forget the merchandise. You know what I'm saying? Like, we got the merchandise as well. So it's just, bro, I'm just inspired to know that the work that we do before the money or anything, it's purposeful, it's impactful. No matter what age you are, you can be touched by the power of HBCU Pride Nation. And I always appreciate being able to be an impactor in the lives of so many people, bro. Like, I have individual relationships with so many people in this space and just so many people in general. And I just want to see everybody win, bro. Like, that's really what it is.
Yeah, so. No, absolutely. I mean, you know, and again, I appreciate, you know, you sharing that background on that, and just, you know, all of the things that you're doing, you know, with HBCU Pride Nation, and it's especially now that it's become, you know, one of the main social media pages to watch. I mean, we know Anthony Brown is doing some amazing things when it comes to, you know, the Facebook end. We know, Luke, we know you are doing some amazing things when it comes to the Instagram social setting. So it's just amazing to see that fruition and everything to come. Yeah, go ahead. You gotta take yourself off mute.
And let me say this one last thing. HBCU Pride Nation came to me when I got disqualified to be the SGA president of A&T. Wow. So God closed a door that I was comfortable in and equipped me to become the CEO and founder of my own company. So the work that I do, this is God's company, bro. This is God's assignment over my life. And if I want to went through those burdens and went through those dark places, bro, I want to be able to see the light within myself to be here, bro. Like, God is all over everything that we're doing, bro.
Amen. And I'll say, you know, that's a testament, you know, to your character for you know, everything that you're doing. And it's just incredible, man. And I love to see all the growth that comes from it. So I want to transition. I want to take this conversation back to the West Coast, right? I want to go back to Dr. Price. So Dr. Price, you spoke about it a little bit earlier, but I actually want to hear you expand on it a little more. What were some of the strategies, or how were you able to navigate, when you first heard of COVID-19 at a pandemic? We were hit by a pandemic. Like, how are you able to navigate with the Black College Expo? Because you were traveling everywhere, and this is a renowned organization from a nationwide standpoint. So people have question marks. So talk to us about that. How were you able to navigate, and what was your reaction?
I could just say, wow. I remember standing in the parking lot with some of our peers. We were just looking at each other like, wow. But we were gonna be at Bowie State, on the campus of Bowie State, that Saturday for our 17th annual Black College Expo. And they were in town. We had been going to schools because we do a thing called Power of Me, where we go around and just empower kids just to know how great they are. And when they said, everybody was saying like, oh, the pandemic's happening, you're not gonna be able to do events. And I'm like, oh shit, we're gonna be able to do this event. We're gonna get through this and we'll figure out. And it was just like, everybody started calling, and then they called Bowie State's, their main administrative team called, and they're like, okay, you're not gonna be able to do it. We have to cancel everything. It's, the government is everything's shutting down. I'm just like, I was just in shock. Like, this has never happened. And we're like, in 20 years, 21 years, this has never happened. And so really sat there, I'm gonna be honest, speechless with my mouth open. And I just said, I didn't know what to think. But we started getting calls again. Everybody started calling, like, what are you gonna do? And all the seniors, believe it or not, it was so many seniors that had not just, didn't have a college. And so they were calling from Atlanta, from all the markets, just like, because we were supposed to be in Atlanta like 2 weeks after that. And so I just said, matter of fact, I'll just say, Travis, one of your I don't know if you know Ronell Miller. You know Ronell Miller? He went to North Carolina A&T. Ronell, they help us with our social media, him and Alexis. Ronell went to North Carolina, Alexis Small went to Bennett College. And so they have been working with us, because I always try to look at how can I help and collaborate with and I'm excited when they both came through the expo. When they were younger, they got accepted and they went on to their schools. And then when they came back and like, hey, we want to work with you. And I'm like, I love it, because I love that. That's what I do this for. And so Ronell was just like, Dr. Price, I told you, you got to go virtual. You got to do virtual events. But he had been saying this for like a year. He's like been saying it, like, and I'm just like, well, I guess we do. We got to help these kids. And so between that happening that Friday, I remember getting calls, because all of the students that had my number, because I give everybody my number anyway, they started calling too, because they were getting put out their dorms. So I have a lot of homeless students that we help that were getting put out their dorms, and they didn't have anywhere to go. So I had to scrambling, trying to get them plane tickets home, trying to find places for them to live. I'm calling my friends, can you take someone in? Calling other students, can you take them in? So it was like a combination of helping people get placed and also trying to figure out what to do. I can just tell you, that's why I know it's nothing but God, like Travis and all of us have been saying, it is nothing but God, G-O-D. Because when you know your purpose and you live in your truth and you know why you are here, I can't explain it, but it's just like I was moving, like not even knowing what I was doing. And just to hear Ronell Miller say that from, just all that, and so we're like, okay, we got to do it. Like, we got to do it virtually. I don't know what, I don't know how, I don't know what I'm doing, but we got to do it. So April 17th, we hosted our first one. We had to throw it together quick because DC was calling and Atlanta was calling. And it was just like, you're not here. Like, what do we do? The scholarship winners, because we were giving away 10 scholarships in every market, which now LA, we just did 33, but we've been doing like at least 10 in every market. And so I just said, well, we got to do it. So we did it. And it came off really good. I talked to the recruiters. I'm like, you guys, this is what we're going to do. I don't know what I'm doing, but let's figure it out. And so they all said it went extremely well for them. And I didn't know. And they were like, okay, are you going to do another one? You guys got to do another one. And I'm just like, okay, we got to do another one. They saying I got to do another one. So then we did another one May 7th, I want to say. Yeah, May 7th. And then from there it was like, we did a graduate school one. So we talked to all the HBCUs. We said, okay, we're going to do a graduate school symposium. So we did a graduate school for all the people looking for grad school and law school and med school. I said, we got to do it. Then we did a career expo. I said, we got to help. People need jobs. Right now, it's like people's calling about jobs. I was like, okay, we got to do a job career expo. So then we ended up doing a Black graduation for high school, which we're going to do again this year. The Urban League reached out because we were doing them already in high schools, and they were like, well, what are you doing with the rites of passage? Can you guys work? We want to work with you guys on this rites of passage. So we did a rites of passage high school Black graduation for all the high schoolers. And so now this year we're doing it again. It's national again. It was national last year, but this year it's going to be televised too. So it's going to be June 4th. So all you guys that have seniors or no seniors, all over the country, Black seniors, is the rites of passage is June 4th. So we're going to be doing that and giving away scholarship. Every time I do something, I say, we got to give away some money, you guys. We got to help these kids need money. This morning alone, I'm telling you on this phone, I've been can you give me, I've been sending, just trying to help as many as I can. So when you ask about COVID and pandemic, man, I have a young lady that I'm actually got housing that I've been supporting. She's homeless. And she actually is at your school, Mr. Brown. She's at Bethune-Cookman, Jasmine Walker. She's been homeless since she was 9 years old. She's been living on the streets since she was 9 years old. And we got her into Bethune-Cookman College. She's there. She's actually the manager of the basketball team. She's doing really well. But now, pandemic, they're closed. So she's here back she's in San Diego, actually. So just those kind of things. We've done probably about 22 events virtual since the pandemic. And just, the expos in 12 markets, well, now 13, because we're at Detroit. We're going to be doing this year too. So it's whatever God, you know what? And when I tell you I pray on everything, I'm looking for my key right now. I have a key. I said, okay, Lord. Okay, Lord, where is this key? Like, I pray on everything because I know I'm not supposed to be here. I know that. It's a long story, but just know that I know I'm not supposed to be here right now on this earth. So I'm just humble servant for me.
Well, let me just say that, I can speak for a whole nationwide demographic of people that we are just so appreciative that you are here. And then the fact that, you're not just here and you're doing, something on an average scale, you're doing it at a very, very high capacity. And I'm just, I just want to commend you for all that work. And I know it's such a multi-layered question. So I was like, it's like
what's crazy?
Unprecedented. Yeah.
Yeah. What's crazy is out of this whole period, not only did the whole virtual thing come, because we also had to figure the virtual learning thing, because in the schools we work in, like I was saying, 100% of our Black kids graduate, all of our kids graduate 100% that we work with. And it's like, we had to figure out this whole, we've had 4 students commit suicide. I'm telling you, it's been a tough year. Suicide, attempted suicides, people are depressed. It's been a tough year. I just want to cry thinking about it. And I just want to love. It's been hard to love virtually, but as much as I can. And out of that though, we've been, we started the recruitment, the free recruitment thing came out of the pandemic, because it's like all the coaches from all of our HBCUs, they were calling me, okay, Doc, what we doing? Like, are y'all gonna do, like, what's up? I'm like, well, we got to figure it out. So we created the recruitment platform, the free recruitment platform for that. We started, I was sharing with you earlier, NCRF TV network. So Crystal Westbrook, who I got in Texas Southern, model actress Crystal that was on BT. She's she's one of our ambassadors. So she does this dorm over show because she was like the dorm that Texas Southern, they would bring everybody to her dorm when they showed all the freshmen, you can come here. So she created this show that we now have on our channel called Dorm Over that she did. And then got Kel Mitchell as one of our ambassadors. So we just did something with him that she filmed. So that's coming out. But the whole NCRF TV thing came because, you know, one of my Howard guys, one of the students we helped is like, you know, we don't have a place to put our content. So it's like, we can't, you know, so I just said, hey, we just got to create something. We got to create something. So we focus on short film, human interest and animation. And actually it's just, that's the network that we're just going to be able to hopefully open to as many content creators of color that need a place to share their works. So that came out.
Absolutely.
A lot of growth out of it, you know?
Yeah,
a lot of
incredible. Now look, I want to take it back to the brother Anthony Brown, right? So Anthony,
ATB.
you know, like I just want to say this. You have literally taken a platform, grown it exponentially, and were able to give so much money out. But you have to credit Bethune-Cookman for that, right? For your advocacy. So I want to ask, like, how has BCU helped you evolve, right? How has BCU created and molded this leader in you that you are today in your position at UNCF?
Wow. I am. Listen, like many of our schools, Bethune-Cookman saved my life. I was a student. I wasn't a dropout. I wasn't a troublemaker, but I was just a misguided young man. I went to school first period and eighth period. I came out of high school with a 1.9. I wasn't supposed to go to college. Well, that's what my guidance counselor told me anyway. He's like, why don't you get a job? You probably shouldn't want to be, why would you want to go through that? It wasn't until, actually my assistant principal for my junior high school was an alum. And he had a pennant, a Bethune-Cookman pennant over his desk and said, you should go to school. I don't want to go to college. I'm not college material. No, you should go. The college choir was on tour, spring tour, like most of our HBCUs, the college choir was on tour. They came to Cleveland, Ohio. They came to my high school to sing. There were 3 other people from my high school already there. And I sat in that audience and I heard them sing. And I said, I want to sing like that. Blew my mind. But I talked to the choir director, Dr. Rebecca Walker Steele was her name. And I said, well, ma'am, I don't have the grade. She said, don't worry about that. And I waited. I graduated from high school. I think if we had to be at school on August 15th, I got my acceptance letter on July 15th. And my mother said, well, the next school you get accepted to, you get to go to. Now, and Bethune-Cookman came in the mail. And they invested in me and took a chance on me that nobody else would. Even though I had to take remedial classes, didn't understand what that meant at first. Like, what does that mean? You got to pay for classes you don't get credit for. Even though, my mother had to take out a second mortgage. Even though my father said, you're going to drop out of school in a couple of weeks anyway. Everybody was just like counting me out. And Bethune-Cookman kept investing in me and kept pouring into me and kept giving me a chance. And that's what our HBCUs do. For any of our viewers who are watching that may not be like, well, why these historically Black colleges? This is what we do. And so I'm so thankful to be one of Mary's kids. And because it instilled so much in me, and I still worked hard. I mean, 0% luck. It was 100% hustle. It was not zero. It was 0% luck. It was 100% hustle. Because if you want to work, if you want to eat, you got to work. You want to pay your bills, you got to work. You want to take care of your family, you got to work. Anything that you want in life, you got to work. And so with that, that got instilled in me, and from that, here it is, this little kid from Cleveland, Ohio, didn't know what I was doing. I was stuck on stupid and parked on dumb. Ended up becoming the class president my senior year. Helping my class raise over $50,000 for UNCF then. So I was in an organization called Pre-Alumni Council, and Pre-Alumni Council was all about training us to be active alumni when we graduate and to give back. So it was from that organization, and Kathy Washington was my advisor, who instilled in me the importance of giving back and becoming a philanthropist, even in whatever state or place you could be in. And that's what got it started. And from there, I'm here today.
Yeah. So, and I mean, I think it's safe to say this is why the presidential role in that president title fits, right?
Dude, when I sat at my first board meeting with the presidents, I cried. I was at the board meeting. They was like, "You all right?" I said, "Because I'm not supposed to be here." Again, because my mother struggled to get me through school. Even though I love my daddy, but he was like, he had threw his hands up like, he ain't gonna finish. But it was because I had a praying mother and grandmother who said, "No, we gonna figure this thing out."
Mm-hmm.
And I still was able to do it in 4 years. Still was able to do it in 4 years. Not saying that you had to have a time limit to it, but I still got it done in 4 years. And was able to come back home, and I give all kudos to Fred Thomas, who's that alum who got me there.
Yeah.
And because of that, that's why I do what I do. So it doesn't matter if it's Bethune, if it's Clark Atlanta, if it's Grambling, if it's Howard, it doesn't matter. I'm going to celebrate a student. If you want to go to any of our HBCUs, I always tell students, if you want to go to another a PWI, a predominantly white school, if you're going to go, just don't be that negative statistic. Go and represent. But just know that we got over 100 HBCUs, and I guarantee you there's one with your name on it. You just got to give it a chance. Got to do the research. We're going to take care of you. Yeah, so that's what kind of did it for me, Doc. It gets me every time, because that just,
yeah, no, it's amazing. And again, I want to commend you, give you your flowers and thank you for everything that you've been able to do. It's an incredible testament to someone who is a true advocate in this space, right? So I actually want to take this, back to the yard. I want to talk a little bit of yard, right? But I actually want to, ask Jalil, like, was there a correlation, with your Divine Nine experience in Yard Talk 101? Like, was there some sort of correlation, or, tell a story of Yard Talk, how that was birthed, and then, tying a little bit on how your Divine Nine experience also, kind of worked in with that.
Got you. So first and foremost, I want to shout out to the good brothers of the Omega Psi Phi Fraternity Incorporated, new Psi chapter here representing Virginia State. To answer your question, Dre, Yard Talk came about because it's crazy, because I was looking for the video because today's Virginia State's Founders Day, and I meant to post it today. But, Yard Talk came about because there was no one trying to tell and control the narrative of HBCUs. And, before this digital space was where it is now, I seen a need. So at the time, you had HBCU Buzz, you had HBCU Pride Nation. You already had different HBCU entities that were doing their thing on a social space, but no one was doing videos. No one was creating digital content creation. And so with me getting my degree in mass communications with a focus on television, I wanted to create content that prospective students could get a better understanding of the HBCU experience, but from our lens, from our perspective, not the media. And so what happened was we created a spoken word video that went viral, that essentially helped to depict and change the narrative about Virginia State at the time. And I say, it's HBCUs that need this love. So thus, I was a graduating senior, so I was focused on graduating. But then in 2015, I found a Yard Talk, and just, it was one of those things where I just hit the ground running. I didn't care what the videos looked like. If you see my first video, it was trash. It was no microphone. Cars was driving. You hear the cars honking, the wind blowing. Now we got a whole full production. I mean, that's how I was able to get to where I am now. But the goal was always let us control our narrative, right? At PWIs, you guys control the narrative, because if something negative happens, it gets swept under the rug. It stays in-house. But if something happens at an HBCU, it's on the news. And so I didn't like that, because it's fine. If you're going to tell that story, just tell the whole story, right? Tell both sides of the story. And so I pride myself on creating content that was 1000% positive. Even with HBCU 101, it's the same thing. It's positive stories, showing people that you can go to an HBCU and be successful. So that's what everything happened with Yard Talk. And so being the bros and being in a fraternity, you know, that's part of, it's a couple of things that are part of the HBCU culture. Greek life is one of them. The band is another one. The yard, you know, and then you can so on and so forth. But when you think of HBCUs, you think of Greeks, yard, and a band. Then you get to the academics and the different majors and stuff like that. But the bands and the Greeks is what makes the yard lively. And so for me, it was like being that I had this dope experience as the bros, you know, of my and a member of my fraternity, I wanted to be able to, you know, show that. So because a lot of people still don't understand Greek life and what it means to be Greek and what are the opportunities that come from being Greek. And so I wanted to shed a light on just the different things that was going on. And you know, road tripping in my fraternity, it allowed to make everything so much easier, you know, being SJ president, being a bros. So when it came to creating content and traveling to other HBCUs, that connection that I built made it so much easier. So that's essentially how everything was able to come together full circle.
Full circle. And I love that, right? Because like it goes to show the strength in numbers and the actual amazing networks that Divine Nine organizations have, right? So I want to give a huge shout out to everybody that you know is a part of an organization, because you know they essentially have, you know, beyond just an HBCU network, you know, another family that they can look to, and it's just incredible how that all came full circle. I want to go take it back to Charlotte for this last question, or for one of the last questions, because I also want to ask, you know, in regards to the game tomorrow. But Travis, what are some things that you, or what is some advice, you know what I'm saying, you would give to, you know, a student who is at North Carolina A&T, or even just a prospective college student, you know, anybody who's probably struggling right now, you know, what is some advice you would give to them, you know, in regards to HBCUs, you know, being an actual commodity and a great resource and some positive reinforcement for them?
Get out your own way. Let God lead you. One of my biggest obstacles for myself has always been myself. And sometimes you could be the person that has everything that you need in order to succeed, but if you don't execute on it, then you'll feel like you left yourself behind, right? And you have to be able to give yourself grace, and also be able to be authentic and genuine about telling your story, the good, the bad, and the ugly, and know that you do have a purpose in life. Know that you, as long as you have breath in your life, that's God's permission for you to be able to fulfill his purpose that he has created you for. And when it comes to HBCUs, be able to do a great job of building relationships, build those relationships while you're on campus, even keep those relationships going when you get away from campus. And as well, when it comes to when you go into a HBCU, when you attend a HBCU, even though you attend that HBCU specifically, you become a part of like a whole network of HBCUs in general, right? Be able to develop the relationships that you need, build friends at other HBCUs, and just know that God got you. No weapon formed against you shall prosper, not even yourself or your negative thinking. But get yourself out of your own darkness and give yourself grace.
Yes. Now, look, I just needed to throw that question in there because I feel like we have a multitude of demographics that may be tuning into this, right? But now let's get to it, right? I want to give a shout out to the NBA for, you know, putting together, you know, an initiative that was really inclusive when it came to historically Black colleges and universities. And a lot of the things, a lot of the in-game implementations that they're doing is, you know, actually shining light on some of the fundraising aspect of things, right? So I need to ask the question. I'm going to take it to Anthony for this, right? Because I know that the brothers repping UNCF. Anthony, when it comes to the NBA All-Star game, right? I need to know this. Are you team LeBron, or are you, you know, team KD? Are you team Durant?
Man, listen. So, oh man, I was so hoping that LeBron was gonna choose UNCF because even though he's in LA, he's a hometown and he's right here from Ohio. Akron is like right down the road. But I'm like, oh, come on. But he went the other way. So I mean, hey, at the end of the day, it doesn't even matter because all of our HBCUs are gonna win regardless. But I guess since I'm UNCF, then I'm gonna have to go with Team Durant on this one. I got to go with Team UNCF on this one. But I'm just excited that all of our schools are gonna get something. Both organizations are going to be able to get some dollars to support our HBCUs, and then there are going to be some additional funds based off of all the 3-point game and some of all the other little marketing strategies and thinking, because I've been knowing about this about 3 weeks. I've been knowing about this coming up, and I was like, I'm just waiting for it to come out. Just being able to be able to sit at the table. When you get to sit at the table, you can learn all kinds of stuff. So I'm just excited about the whole idea. So that's where I am. I'm Team UNCF.
Okay, as expected, right? It was a rhetorical question. So look, but I agree in terms of being, really having a diplomatic approach to it, because at the end of the day, we want all of our HBCUs to win. So if there are large corporations out there that are trying to match whatever they're adding to that, figure right now, do that. UNCF and TMCF need the funds, right? So we just want to encourage everybody to let them know that our beloved HBCUs need it. But I'm going to take this to the West Coast, right? Now, Dr. Price, look, LeBron LeBron's in LA now, right? So you got LeBron in LA. What do we?
KD was on the West Coast too, though. KD was on the West Coast too, though.
That's right.
But come on now. I just told you I love all HBCUs. I support all HBCUs. I support all students that go to all HBCUs. I support anybody HBCU. So you know what I'm going to say. I want them both to win. They both deserve to win, because when they win, we win. Bottom line.
And hey, look, that score just needs to be tied so that they both get the money, right?
Tell them, come on, tell somebody.
Hey, hold that shot. Make sure you get that free throw. No, I get it. All right, man.
It's for a good reason.
I hear that. So I'm gonna take it. Right. I'm gonna take it back to Jalil. Jalil, who you going with?
I'm from Chicago, so I'm always a Chicago fan. But outside of Chicago, I'm a Lakers fan. I grew up watching Kobe, Lake Show all day, and what LeBron just did for FAMU, I think is huge because it's going to start sincerely changing the narrative. And I also think that, if I'm not mistaken, let me correct myself, Chris Paul is also on Team LeBron, and what Chris Paul has been doing for HBCUs is crazy. So I'm gonna go Team LeBron, just off of what the impact that the players are having on the HBCU culture and conversation.
I hear that. That's a popular choice, right? A lot of people are saying that just because you have Chris Paul who has become a huge advocate for HBCUs and creating more awareness, right? So and then you have LeBron, and he just now is doing a collaboration with FAMU and obviously Team TMCF. So look, I'm gonna take it back to Charlotte. I want to ask this question because I'm curious, Travis. Who you going with, man? Is it Team Durant? You going with KD because he's close, right? He's kind of closer to you than he is on the west side, right? We'll say at least. Who you going with? Travis?
Hey, me and Jalil always on the same page. You know what I'm saying? So it's Team LeBron all day, bro. I've been with LeBron when he was in Miami and he was in Cleveland. Wherever LeBron goes, that's where I'm at. So Team LeBron. And then I'm very, very proud of this campaign that the NBA is doing for HBCUs. And tomorrow the court is going to be covered in HBCU stuff. Even the band, the Grambling State Band is going to be playing. And then Clark Atlanta University is going to be saying, lift every voice and sing. And I think they did an immaculate job of developing this campaign for HBCU. So thank you, NBA.
Yeah, shout out to the league. And I'll say this also, Finn, the Marching 100, they got the Marching 100 in there in addition to Grand Fam.
That's good stuff.
They did a great job with including you know, a lot of the HBCU kind of feel and you know, spirit to their actual in-game presentations. So shout out to the league for that. There's a lot of things that are going on for that. So, you know, everybody go check that out, go support. So look, there you have it, right? Another all-star panel. This has been an incredible time. I appreciate you all for coming and joining me on this digital landscape. You are all leaders. I want to thank you for all of the work that all of you are doing, and just continue to do it. Continue to be that vessel and you know, push that you know, that great message forward that HBCUs deserve to be in any type of space, and that students always have a home when it comes to HBCUs. So let me just end on that.
Thank you for your work too, bro.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, no, that's been a pleasure. Like, hey, real quick, I just Dre, to let you know, because you didn't tell your viewers. I guess the rest of us who podcast on a regular, you know, hit that button, hit that share button.
Yeah.
Right.
The links in the chat. So if you want to if you want to connect with any of us, you know, we're dropping the links in the chat so you can follow up with any of our organizations and what we've been doing in our community. So yeah, follow us, check us out.
Indeed. And I'll say this, look, you know, make sure you follow all of these advocates that are on these, you know, that were on this lineup. Like, everybody is doing something amazing, and collectively together we have like a tapped resource, right? That's really like more together, growing as like a coalition or a family where we're working together and we're really just coming together and uplifting each other. So definitely do that. Yeah, definitely subscribe. Definitely like, comment, all of that. At HBCU Unite on all social media platforms. I appreciate it. Make sure you definitely go check out Travis. And Travis, why don't you give a little bit of a shout out for the HBCU Pride gear that you got going.
Right. Yes, right. Yeah, because I just tried to buy 3. I just tried to buy 3.
Hey, you can. Hey, we on our site. We just trying to send out what we have in stock, but you can still get 3. You get them black and gold, the blue ones right here, and it'll be right to that. Yes, ma'am.
Everybody show that one again. Show it. Let me see. Oh yeah, that's hot too.
Yeah, I just bought 2 of them myself.
Yeah.
No doubt.
Yeah.
So there you have it, everybody.
Y'all can shop at www.hbcuprideshop.com. And thank y'all so much.
All right, so there you have it. That's the panel. I want to thank everybody for coming, and tuning in. This is definitely an incredible panel, and I'm just very, very, very thankful for everybody taking the time and joining. Everybody have a wonderful evening. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, man. Thank you, bro.
Thank you.
So we just ended it.